channel. Today I'm going to be doing a what I read in 2021, but we're going to be walking around in Minecraft. So before this video starts, I want to tell you guys how I rate my books. So a 5-star is I absolutely loved this book, one of my favorites ever. 4 or 4.5. 4.5 I liked it better than a 4, but 4 I really loved the book. 4.5 normally something was in it that I didn't love, and it just kind of turned me away from the book, but I still really loved the book nevertheless. 3.5 stars is I liked the book. I didn't love it, but it was still a really good read. 3 stars, it was okay. 2.5, I probably DNF'd the book, and I don't rate books. I haven't rated any books lower than a 2, so, but obviously that mean I absolutely hated the book. But definitely always check for trigger warnings too when you're reading books, because some books might have something in it that might trigger you, and you do not want to have to deal with that. So yeah, anyways, let's get into the video. So the first book I read this year was The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith. I bought this book in January, and I didn't start reading it until March. So then when I did start reading it, I ended up having to move. I lost where the book was, so then I kind of forgot some things about it. And I finished it in like May, somewhere around there. So I want to reread this book this year solely because of that. I don't think I appreciated the book as much, and it's definitely getting a lot of hype now. So I kind of want to reread it. I did really like this book. I gave it 4 stars, which is really good for me anyways, because I'm honestly pretty picky with my 5 stars. So, but I think I would rate it higher if I reread it. But I'm going to give you a little synopsis. I'm going to try and keep it pretty short because I do have quite a few books and I always end up rambling. So anyways, if you guys have read the book Speak, it's similar to this book, so it does have sexual assault in it, so check other trigger warnings too, just in case. But so this book is about Eden, I'm pretty sure is her name, and she, right at the beginning, like it is in spoilers, she gets sexually assaulted by her brother's best friend, and she has known him since she was like really young, so it's really hard for her to accept at first, and you see her deal with that throughout all of her years of high school. It happens when she's a freshman, and then it just shows her I guess I would say reaction to that and how she copes with it, I guess. I really like the book, definitely want to reread it again this year, but yeah, that's The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith. So the next book I read was All American Boys by Jason Reynolds and Brendan Kiely, I'm pretty sure is how you pronounce the name. His name's Rashad, and it's not a spoiler, so don't worry, I'm going to keep this all spoiler free, but Rashad experiences police brutality, and Rashad is like the super good kid, like he's super smart, he does like extra, I think he's in like ROTC, and he's just like known as a good kid. And then it shows his experience with that and how not only people around him, but how the whole school reacts, how the public reacts to what happened to Rashad. And it was a very realistic, I think it's like a middle school read, but I really liked it, honestly. I think it's an important read, definitely recommend it. And then the other point of view is, I cannot remember his name. Quinn. So Quinn is best friends with the police guy that did the thing. I don't even know what to call it. To Rashad, and it shows him and how, I don't want to spoil anything. You'll be happy with the ending, so don't worry. But it shows his reaction at first, because he's like, oh, I've known this kid forever. He wouldn't have done this. Like, it must have been for a good reason. And then you see people around Quinn telling him things, and then the other side telling him the other things, the opposite of what he's hearing from other people. So it just shows his character development throughout that. Really love this book. Again, 4 to 5 stars. All American Boys by Jason Reynolds and Brendan Kiely. So the next book I read was The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang. I think I'm pronouncing that right. But it's the first book in the Kiss Quotient series, which I'm pretty sure they're all standalones, but if you haven't heard of The Kiss Quotient, I'm sure you've heard of The Bride Test or the Heart Principle, which are also in this series and are getting really popular. This book is about Stella and Michael, and Stella's parents are absolutely like nagging her to get a boyfriend, and her parents really want grandkids, and she has had like past like bad sexual relationships with people, so she doesn't really want to, but she feels bad because her parents want her to. So she hires Michael, who is a male escort, and Michael, I don't want to spoil anything, but it was kind of insta-loving, which is I didn't really like about it. I don't know if I said, but I gave it 3.5 stars. I liked it, but I didn't love it. I do think it's a really good read, and I'm happy that they have autism representation in it, because you don't find that a lot in books. But I definitely recommend this book, The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang. I'm sure you've heard of this book, and if you haven't, you're living under a rock. I'm just kidding. But this is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Lily, she's from a small town in Maine, and this isn't a spoiler at all, but her dad just passed away. And literally in the first chapter, she meets Ryle, who is like a super handsome neurosurgeon. This book is also turning into a movie, which I'm so excited for. But okay, I'm gonna keep on track. So she instantly feels a spark with him, and right as Lily is like starting to get to know Ryle, she meets the love of her like teenage life, Atlas. My heart goes out to Atlas and Atlas only. And then it just shows her life from then on. But 5 out of 5 stars. Definitely recommend you reading this. But Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. So the next book I read after It Ends With Us was One of Us is Lying by Karen and McManus. I kind of like the TV show better. I was a little confused at the casting, but I'm happy that they included diverse characters, even though it wasn't originally like that, which kind of me very happy with it. So One of Us is Lying is a mystery, like young adult. So Bayview High, there's 5 different students as the main characters, kind of. I don't know if I consider the other character main. I don't know. I'm not gonna say no more. But so there's Bronwyn, the smarty pants of the school. There's Addie, who is like the beauty princess of the school. You know, that one popular girl. Yeah, that's her. Then there's Nate, who's a criminal. I love Nate, but just my opinion. Then there's Cooper, who's the athlete. And Simon, who is kind of like the outcast, but he also runs like a school app. I'm pretty sure it's an app, or it's like something on a website. But so all 5 of those students go into detention, and then only 4 of them make it out. So Simon actually really dies in detention, and then there's only all the people that I just said, and the teacher in there. They did change some things in the show, but I definitely recommend reading this first. I gave this 3.5 out of 5 stars. I liked it, but I didn't love it, and I think because I was like just getting into reading that I don't know, I wasn't sure what type of books I liked, so I don't know, but I did kind of skip over some parts, so I kind of want to reread this someday, but maybe not this year, but sometime. Also, there's a sequel to this I do want to read. Well, the next book I read was Something Happened to Elle Greenleaf by Hayley Krischer. Elle Greenleaf, she's kind of like a less popular girl. I'd say she's like more people know her, but she's not like popular. Dual point of view from Allie and Blythe, but Allie is a super sweet girl, and she has a huge crush on Sean Nestle, the popular kid, but Sean Nestle is friends with Blythe, who has the other point of view of this book. And so one night, Allie Greenleaf starts to, I don't know, I keep saying her full name, Allie starts to kind of flirt with Sean, I'm pretty sure, and then something happens. He ends up sexually assaulting her, and then it shows the point of view of Sean's best friend, Blythe. It shows at some points they start to talk to each other, and then the only reason I didn't love this book as much as I thought I would because of the ending. I just wasn't very pleased with the ending of this book. I was expecting something different, and I didn't get that, so I was like, oh. I mean, it's not a horrible ending. I definitely still recommend reading this book, but I just wasn't too pleased with the ending of this. Book I'm sure you've also heard of is Silent Patient by Michealides. I'm pretty sure it's his name. This book is a thriller, and psychological thriller. And what I mean, this will have you... Okay, it's a little boring for some people. I personally didn't think it was boring about this girl. Everybody thinks she killed her husband, and she hasn't talked since then. And they've had so many people try to come in and talk to her, but she just won't talk to anyone until this doctor, he's not really a doctor, I guess he's more like I don't even know, but he tries and he's like, I can fix her, I can make her talk. And I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I don't know if I said that already, but the reason I didn't give it 5 stars, I gave it 5 stars at first, and I was like, I did kind of think the ending was predictable, but the way the author did it, I kid you not, I had my mouth wide open. I was reading this. I was like, holy, oh my god. It was predictable, and I thought it, and then I started to change my mind, but I was still kind of hinting towards it, so I was like, I'm gonna take out a star just because I thought it was kind of predictable. I would say it's closer to 4.5 stars, but since it was kind of predictable, I was like, But nevertheless, I did not expect it to like come up in the book when it did, because I was just reading and then I was like, what the heck just happened in this? I was like, what? But yeah, this book, I definitely recommend this. Don't read this if you're younger, because this is not for you. It does have details about the murder and stuff. It's The Silent Patient by Michealides. So the next book that I read was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This book is part of a series. I'm pretty sure there's 2 books after this, and then there's one before this called Killjoy, which is like a prequel to this book. It came out last year. But this book is about Pippa, but everyone just calls her Pip, so I'm gonna do that. So Pip is, I'm pretty sure she's a senior in high school, but she's doing this project. I'm pretty sure it's a senior project, but she's researching a murder that happened in the town, and everyone in the town knows he killed the girl. Like literally everyone, but Pip doesn't believe it. So Pip is determined to find out who actually did it. And yeah, there's a little bit of romance in this, which I wasn't expecting. I was very happy because when they met, I was like, I can feel it. I can feel it coming, but I was like, will they do that? But this is like a YA mystery. I loved it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, which I don't think I said yet, but maybe I did. But definitely recommend this. If you're getting into reading, read this book. I literally could not put it down. I kid you not, I read it in a day because I just couldn't put it down. And then I regretted not buying the other 2 yet, which I haven't yet. I'm buying them very soon, but I cannot wait to read the rest of the series, and I hope it's as good as this book because it was amazing, like genuinely amazing. The first book I read in November was Red, White, and Royal Blue by McQuiston. They killed it with this book. Like, this book had me laughing out loud. I kid you not. It was kind of embarrassing, but I was like, this book is seriously so funny. It's a romance book. I don't know if it's YA. It's new adult, but I mean, there's not really anything that's like spicy in it. I don't think. But I love this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Well deserved. There's like a side romance in this. I'm not gonna say too much because I don't want to spoil it, but I want a book of that, please. Please, just please release it. Just please, like, write it. And this book is about Alex, who is the son of the first female president. And then it's also about Henry, who is the son of, like, the English, government, I don't know, they're a monarchy, that's all I know. I don't know what they're called over there. But it's about them. So they cause a scene at a royal wedding. They start bickering and causes a scene. It gets to the news articles, and then their parents, I don't know if necessarily their parents, but they're like news people like that are in charge. They're like, we can't have this because it'll look bad for the presidency, and the foreign affairs stuff, I'm pretty sure is what it's called. So they're like, we're gonna have to put you guys on friend dates so it looks like you're friends. And when I tell you, you're gonna love this book. I don't know how anyone could hate this book. It's LGBTQ romance. It's kind of, I would say young adult. I'd say it's safe for like 14 and up. You'll be laughing at this book. You'll be smiling. I don't think I cried in this book, but I think it was just, I could like imagine this book so clearly. I was like, oh my god, I need this to be real. I need this to be real. But definitely recommend this, Red, White, and Royal Blue by McQuiston. After reading It Ends With Us, I was like, I need another Colleen Hoover book, and stacked. So I read November 9, which is about Fallon and Ben. So Fallon she was in a fire a couple of years ago, I'm pretty sure it was. And her dad's like a well-known actor, and she was an actress, but then when she got burned in the fire, she just stopped acting. I don't know why. I feel like that shouldn't matter, but she did. I mean, I get it, but her dad's also kind of a dick, so you will hate him, don't worry. Fallon is leaving for New York, and she lives in LA right now. She's leaving for New York tomorrow. And she sees Ben. Ben and her like see each other in the restaurant. And so then Ben overhears their conversation, and he acts like he's her boyfriend to the dad because he's so pissed off by what the dad's saying that he just can't help himself. So he goes over there, acts like he's her boyfriend, but then they kind of hit it off. It was kind of, I wouldn't say it was insta-lovey, but I think that's why I didn't give it 5 out of 5. I don't know if I said I already gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The thing that people don't like is that it only shows one day every year because they agree to meet every November 9th because she's moving across the country literally tomorrow. He's staying in LA. And yeah. But I think it's kind of important for it to have that because if it showed other days, it wouldn't be November 9. Like, they meet every November 9th. It just kind of makes sense. They refuse to see each other, like, through social media. They don't have each other's phone numbers, emails. They don't contact each other. They only see each other on November 9th. I love this book. Again, 4 out of 5 stars. Definitely recommend it. Okay, so the one reason I didn't give this 5 out of 5 stars was because there is some things that Ben did that I was just kind of like, I don't know about that. So yeah, that's why. But really recommend still. November 9 by Colleen Hoover. Next book I read was You Have a Match by Emma Lord. This is a YA, has some romance and then some LGBTQ romance. It has like everything that you need. But this book is about our 2 main characters, Abby, who is like kind of like a skater girl, I guess is what she kind of like is described as. And it's also about Savannah, but everyone calls her Savvy, so I'm gonna stick with that. So Abby and Savvy are secret sisters. So how they find out is Abby takes a DNA test with her friend Leo that she kind of has a crush on, and Leo wants to find out something about himself. Abby is like, okay, I'll take it with you, whatever. When Abby gets her results, she finds out that actually has a sister, a secret older sister. So Savannah reaches out to Abby on Instagram, I'm pretty sure, and Abby sees that she's like an Instagram model. So Abby's kind of like, ew, I don't like that. But they meet up. They decide to meet up, and then Savannah convinces her to go to this summer camp that she kind of like works at to figure out why their parents would have left Savannah but kept Abby, and Abby has other brothers. If I remember correctly, she has like younger brothers. But yeah, so then there's that. There's also romance sprinkled on the sides because remember I said Abby kind of has a crush on her best friend Leo. You find out something. I was like, oh my god, this is so cute. When I was reading it, I'm not gonna say what because it's kind of a spoiler. The 2 secret sisters in the summer camp that they work at, just kind of forming a relationship. I won't say too much about whether they like each other or not, but yeah. I'm pretty sure this is from only Abby's perspective, but I could be wrong. Or it could just be about both of them and not in any other point of views. Anyway, but definitely recommend this. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. You Have a Match by Emma Lord. Next book I read was Made in Korea by Sarah Sue. So I was very excited to read this book because it sounded super cute. So let me fill you in. This is about Valerie and Wes, and Valerie owns this K-beauty, like, small business at her school where she sells Korean beauty products. Like, every day she gets them from a relative, I'm pretty sure, and her and her cousin do it. It's been a thing. Like, they're really well known for it. And then Wes comes into school, and Wes has a dream of going to become a singer, I'm pretty sure, but Valerie wants to go to Paris. She's saving up for a trip to Paris, and this is a YA romance. I hated it. Just kidding. I just really didn't like it. Valerie is extremely rude to Wes, and he tries so hard to be nice to her, but she's an absolute snob, and she acts like she's better than everyone else, and I just couldn't stand her. I gave this book 3.5 stars. I could not stand her. Like, I could not. I wanted to DNF this so bad, but I wanted to finish it just so I would know that Wes was, I know they're fake, but I just wanted to know that Wes would be okay, because she was so rude to him. I was like, what are you doing this for? He's trying to be nice. And then she's like a total snob. I was like, what is your problem, girl? But yeah, this is Made in Korea by Sarah Sue. The next book I read was a poetry book, Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur, I think. I gave this book 4 stars. I mean, it's a poetry book. There's a lot of poetry I want to read this year. I'm not going to say much more. Trigger warning for sexual assault in this book. I think there's other ones. Just check trigger warnings for this book. Definitely recommend it though. I already heard of this book, but the next book is The Love Hypothesis by Hazelwood. I love this book. I gave it 4.5 stars. You're probably like, you loved it, but you gave it 4.5 stars. I wanted just one single chapter to be in Adam's point of view. He's the main male character. I just wanted one chapter. This book would have been 100 stars if it was dual point of view. I mean, I need it. Unless there's going to be a separate book, which I don't think there is, a separate book from his point of view, I'll give this book 5 stars knowing that it's out there. But until then, this is going to stay at 4.5. But I'll let y'all know what the book is about now. So the book is about a third-year PhD candidate, Elle Smith, and she does not believe in, like, relationships. She doesn't like them. But her best friend does. And her best friend wants to date someone that she was kind of dating, and you're probably like, wow, breaking girl code. But Olive wants her friend to date him. She doesn't care. Like, she keeps telling her friend, but she's like, no, you're not in a relationship. You haven't moved on yet. So Olive I'm pretty sure she tells her that she has a boyfriend. So one night, her best friend Anne walks in on Adam and Olive just talking to each other. I think they just ran into each other in the hallway. But then Olive just starts making out with him, so that Anne thinks that she's moved on. But little does Olive know that Adam is like the most hated professor. He's not old or anything. I wouldn't say it's age gap. It's enemies to lovers, fake dating. There's a couple other tropes, but those are spoilers, so I'm not telling you. You'll have to read the book. But I gave this 4.5 stars. If Hazelwood, even though she's written like 5 books this year, cannot wait for those. But if she gets a book from Adam's point of view, I'm giving this 5 stars. So this is The Love Hypothesis by Hazelwood. The next book I read was 5-star by far, maybe my favorite book. I cried the most in this book. I swear, at the ending, I would stop crying. I would literally have to put the book down. I would stop crying. I would pick it up and I would start crying again because I'd read another sentence. I stayed up until 3 a.m. reading this book because I just could not go to sleep knowing that I have not finished this book. So, this is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Jenkins Reid. This book is about not really dual point of view, but it kind of is because it's going through Evelyn's life. So Evelyn Hugo is like a glamorous Hollywood star, and she has not had an interview or done anything for years, and she's very old, like really old, like on her deathbed old. And not to like disrespect her or anything, I wish she was a real person, but she hasn't done an interview in years. And then there's Monique. Evelyn Hugo's like, I'm only gonna do this interview if it's Monique. And Monique's kind of like a baby in her like workplace, and they don't think that she can do a good job. So they're like, okay, we won't let Monique do it, but we'll have somebody else do it. And everyone's like, no, I'm only doing this if it's Monique. So have Monique do it, and Monique goes over to Evelyn's place, and Monique wants to know, like, who was the love of your life? You had 7 husbands. Who was the love of your life? You find out, your mind is blown. I was not expecting this book to go the way it did, but I was happy. Very, very happy. I love this book with my whole heart. You will cry in this, and if you don't, that's okay too. Definitely 5 stars, and that was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. I'm sure you've heard of it, but it's a pen pal romance. So Misha and Ryan have been writing to each other since they were younger. One of the teachers thought one of them was a girl, and vice versa, because of their names. So they've been writing to each other ever since. And I'm pretty sure one of them stops writing to each other. Pretty sure that's what happens. And so Misha goes out to seek Ryan. I'm pretty sure Ryan's the one that stops talking to him. Misha kind of starts going to Ryan's school, and it's under a fake name, and they don't know what each other look like, so he just shows up. But he shows up for another reason. Not necessarily her, but when they meet each other, Misha, Secret Misha, I don't remember the name he goes by, hates Ryan. Hates her. And I understand why, because I hated Ryan too. If you don't want to read about homophobia, don't read this book, because there's plenty of homophobia in this book, and I hated it. Like, there was barely any character development revolving that, and I think that's why I hated it so much. Also, this book would have been 10 times better if it was written when they were in college, because high school, some of the things just were, like, a little bit annoying. I give this book 3 out of 5 stars. If you want to read it, read it. It was written a while ago, but still, like, it's not necessary. Like, the amount of homophobia was not necessary. The next book I read was 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tillie Cole. Okay, I did a horrible job explaining this when I filmed it, so I'm doing a voiceover now. Poppy and Rune are the very best friends. They met when they were really young because Rune moved from Norway to a small town where Poppy lives. And you see them connecting when they're younger, and then they grow up a little bit. And then Rune finds out he has to move back to Norway because of his dad's job, so they promise each other that they're going to keep talking no matter what. And Poppy, like, cuts him off. She just stops communicating with him. No emails, no phone calls, no texts, just nothing. Rune moves back to the small town in America where Poppy is, and he's like, why'd you just stop talking to me, Poppy? Like, we were really close, and then you just cut me off like nothing ever happened. She tells him why it breaks your heart. You need to read this, 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tillie Cole. The next book I DNF'd, so I'm gonna tell you about it. I'm sure you're like, why did you DNF this book? You've probably heard of it, but I'm nervous to say this. I'm gonna get canceled. This is The Hating Game by Thorne. This is an enemies to lovers, but when I read it, I was like, this is not really enemies to lovers. This is a workplace romance about Lucy, and it's a movie. I'm gonna watch it. Maybe it'll make me want to pick up the book again. But this is about Lucy, Hale, and Josh, and they work in an office. They're fighting for a title. I DNF'd it. I always give the books I DNF 3 stars on Goodreads, just because I want to put it that I started reading it, and I have like a DNF category, but yeah, I DNF'd this. Lucy, the girl, just so annoying for me. She mentioned that she was short, and she was like acting really quirky, and I was like, she literally is a pick-me. I couldn't stand it. Oops. But she's like, I'm so short, and then she would mention it again, and I was like, this is enough. This is enough. I'm done with this book. I'm done. I think I'll like the movie better, but okay. So that was The Hating Game by Thorne. Okay, so the next book I read in December was All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. I couldn't help but pick up another Colleen Hoover book, so this is the one I picked. This is about a couple, Quinn and Graham. They meet on unusual circumstances. I'm going to leave that up to you. I'm not going to say it because I knew what the introduction was like. I kind of wish I didn't because it's just kind of funny. But so that shows them meeting on unusual circumstances. Quinn's about to get married a month later, and Graham has a girlfriend that they live in like close apartment buildings. They live like really close to each other. That's all I'm gonna say. The takeout, yes, like yes. I'm really happy that they did that. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But then it shows them meeting and forming their relationship, and then it's a then and now perspective. So then the now is them struggling as a married couple, and it's like some of it was hard to read. It's not something I'm super familiar with, so I'm happy that I got to read this book about it. I gave this 4 stars. Yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. It was really good. It was the meeting of when they met was just so funny. This All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. Okay, so the next book is You've Reached Sam by Dustin Thao. This is about 17-year-old Julie, and she had her future all planned out with her boyfriend, and then her boyfriend ends up passing away, and she doesn't go to any of his like services, his funeral, like any of the other services that his family decided to have. And she was really close with his cousin as well, so you see them connecting over Sam, and just how their relationship, I don't want to say too much, I don't really want to spoil it, but her relationship with Sam's cousin as Julie's dealing with Sam's passing. So Julie, I'm pretty sure she like gets really stressed one night, and she decides to call Sam because she would always go to him whenever she had to talk to someone, or Sam's cousin, but they're not really on good terms. So when she calls Sam, he picks up. 4.5 stars. You've Reached Sam by Dustin Thao. Definitely recommend. Okay, the next book, IDNF. I don't even want to talk about this book. It's weird. It was like, okay, I'm not a big fan of Hallmark movies, and this was basically a Hallmark movie in a book. I DNF'd it very quickly. But it's about this girl, and she like relives her life. It's a Christmas. I was really hoping I would get a good Christmas romance book. I was wrong. I ended up being nervous, but I'm pretty sure I didn't say it. It's in Holidaze by Christina Lauren. I gave it 2.5 stars, but that's what I always give my DNFs, so yeah. It's about a girl, she ends up like reliving her life over and over again until she doesn't die, basically. And I hated it, and I've read reviews, and she doesn't even mention it again. Like, it's never mentioned again in the book, so I was like, why even have it if you're not gonna like talk about it again? So I was like, yeah, this is not worth reading. The girl was just kind of annoying, and she kind of acted like really immature. I was like, am I reading a young adult or a book about like a 28-year-old? I'm pretty sure. So I was like, yeah, not finishing this. If you want to read it, go ahead and read it, but it just wasn't for me. The book I read was The Deal by Elle Kennedy. I ended up giving this 4.5 stars. I love this book, one of my favorites. I cannot wait to finish the series because it's just so good. This is about Garrett, Graham, and Hannah. Trigger warning for sexual assault because the main character is sexually assaulted. Not really during this book, but it says it right in the like first page, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so the only reason I didn't give it 5 stars was because before they started dating, I didn't like some of the comments Garrett made to Hannah. It just kind of irked me the wrong way. So yeah, I still loved it, but so this is a hockey romance, part of a series Off Campus. There's 2 parts to the series, which is Off Campus has 5 books, I'm pretty sure, but they're all hockey romances. I'm pretty sure the second series is too. Would make sense for it. But Garrett Graham is the hockey boy. So he fails one of his classes, and Hannah, the main girl, is the only one who like gets an A, gets 100% passes. So Garrett's like on the edge of not being able to play hockey, and he kind of needs to because he's like the star player, one of the star players. And so he's like, please Hannah, you have to help me. You have to help me with this. So she's like, no, I'm not helping you, Garrett. I'm not. So he keeps begging her to do it. Eventually she gives in, and that's kind of how it all starts. That's how Garrett and Hannah become Garrett and Hannah. Okay. The Mistake by Elle Kennedy, Off Campus, second book. This is... Okay, so this book is about John Logan, and he's a junior, and then Grace is a freshman. So one night, Logan just kind of shows up at her house. I don't even remember why. It's not her house, by the way, it's a dorm. and he just shows up, and they kind of start to connect. Like, she's had the biggest crush on him too. It's like, oh my god, you're watching, I'm pretty sure it's Die Hard, and they just start like eating gummy worms and like watching Die Hard together. Her roommate's not home. It start to happen because he's John Logan. And Grace, by the way, she's a virgin. I think he can kind of tell, but did you finish? And she was like, yeah. Like, she kind of felt bad saying no. So she just said she did. But Logan knew, and he left anyways. He felt really bad for it. So he asks one of his friends, Dean, like, has a girl ever lied about finishing with you? And he just makes fun of him. But Logan cannot get Grace out of his head. And that's how it kind of comes about. That's all I'm going to say because I don't want to spoil it. But definitely recommend this. I'm so scared to say the idea after this. But it is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This is a retelling of Patroclus and Achilles, obviously. The only reason I DNF'd it is because I had to be in a certain mood to read this book. It's like a romance, but Patroclus kind of rubbed me off. No. Which I can't even remember. I'm pretty sure it's Patroclus. Kind of rubbed me off on, no, Achilles. Oh, I don't even remember. Achilles, he was kind of like, just maybe angry. I just, when people say you don't have to be into Greek mythology or know a single thing, they're lying. You do. You have to like the Greek mythology, and you have to know what they're talking about, because I had no idea. And I was like, I feel so stupid reading this book, so I just DNF'd it. I was like so close to the end too. I was like, I literally cannot read this anymore. I need another book, and I need it fast. I need to read a good book. Which is why I ended up DNFing another book. So Looking for Alaska by John Green is into 2 parts. So it's like before and now, and I read the whole before, I really liked it. Then when I got to the now, I couldn't finish it. It was just not the same. If you read this book, you know what I'm talking about. It was just not the same, and I couldn't. I don't even know how to describe it, but I recommend it. I feel like it'd be better for other people that are just not me. So that's the last book I ended up reading in December. So this this is the end of what I read in 2021. I hope you liked this video. And if you did like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. If you want to, you don't have to. It's not a requirement. Turn on post notifications because I do plan on making other videos like this. So if you want to get notified every time I post another video, turn on your post notifications. Thank you for watching this. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed your stay. I know this video is kind of long, but definitely worth it, I hope. Okay, bye.